My name's Hunter Coffey. I am the master distiller at Whiskey Thief Distilling Company here in Frankfort. So I went to college down Union College. It was a dry county. So through that, kind of taught myself how to moonshine and make my own alcohol. But just like everybody else, kind of through drinking it. It's kind of where I've developed a passion for it. After I get done at college, basically moonshine, I went to Kentucky State University and agriculture research program, and I pretty much stopped distilling at that point. I was on some grant money being a researcher there, and that grant money ran out, and I was kind of looking for a job. And then Charlie Jones, who was president of the FrankfortBourbon Society at that time, he said, "Hey, I got a guy that needs some helpers out there." And I was like, "Okay, do that, fill my time while I'm looking for something else." And kind of turned into something else. Ross was the owner here at the time. Back in it was May 2012 is when I started here. And it's just mainly cutting wood, just doing cleaning up the farm. He didn't know I had previous distilling experience, so kind of it was a good match. He kind of didn't want to be here distilling and cooking all night long. He had 3 sons, so he wanted to spend more time with them. So it's just kind of a match made in heaven, and he just kind of turned me loose. We are small. People always will knock you for that being small. They don't realize, like, when I worked at Wild Turkey, then I told them about this place. They write it off really quick because it was just so small compared to Wild Turkey. Little they know there's other craft distilleries out there that have a 100-gallon still, a 200-gallon still. That's a lot smaller. This perception was very hard to get past on some things. Other things, if you get my wife in here, definitely the hours, because that can cause a lot of strain on a relationship. It's the amount of hours I work, but it's labor of love, so she understands that now. One day I might be distilling and cooking, but other days I might need to do tours, might need to fix some electric, might need to do some plumbing. It's kind of all I'll be on the Bobcat working on the road. It's kind of whatever's needed at that time is what I'll become. Like with Walter's the same way. Anytime he's doing tours, he's doing tastings, like he's doing one right now. So it's kind of whatever's needed at that point is what I become. I feel like we get to be a lot more intimate with people and get to know people a lot better. Get to just meeting people. I get to meet a lot of cool people while I'm doing this. A lot of people from out of state or different countries, and then I make that connection. And I went and stayed at people's houses before that I've met here. I've been on fishing trips and hunting trips. Always sending samples back and forth. Get a lot of brewery people in here, and I always like to trade beer with them. And then they always have the most interesting stories too, and that's something that I won't get anywhere else. They don't just talk to people. They're literally coming in here and then willing to tell their story to me, and that's pretty cool. So being grain to glass is pretty cool because you get to see the corn grow throughout the season, and then when it gets harvested, like it just got harvested now, it's cool to see the process through that, and it's also really cool to see the customer be able to see that process too. Yes, we don't really grow all the grains we need here to do it because we don't have enough space to do it, but the stuff we do try to impart a little bit of corn in every single batch. That way we do have a little bit of corn that was grown here into every little barrel. But it's kind of cool to be self-sufficient to an extent on that. Your bigger places have contracts and lease out land and farms, stuff like that to do it. But when we're doing ourselves, it's kind of cool to be able to see the whole process. And like yesterday we had a pretty busy day, and the combines were running through the field during the whole day. So that's pretty cool to be able to see that. People that never really seen corn harvested in real time. So it's pretty cool. I enjoy it to an extent, but doing it day in, day out, it does get kind of taxing. but it's fun spreading like the knowledge of distilling. And some people get really curious about it and ask a lot of good questions, and that's kind of fun. And then they'll have different ideas that you never even thought about that they'll kind of ask and get the wheels turning again. So it's cool to talk to people because they always have a different perspective on stuff, and it's really cool to kind of see out what their thought process is, their viewpoint on stuff, and then see if you can't put that into practice somewhere else too, and try something a little different. So we just got on the craft bourbon trail. It's kind of like any distillers that's in the industry's kind of goal is I'd love to be in the Hall of Fame. A lot of people don't know there's even a Hall of Fame for bourbon, but it's kind of a very elite class that get to go into that. So that'd be the dream. But realistically, just making a product that people enjoy and love, and seeing them enjoy something that I've made is pretty rewarding in itself. With the name change, it's so we're changing how we're viewed. I mean, we've always viewed as that little distillery there that people kind of write off. And it's always kind of fun proving them wrong time and time again. And with the new name change, we're able to branch out and really start to do some PR and stuff like that. And it kind of present ourselves in a better, a better light, but a more professional sense. People will feel a lot more connected, especially our employees feel more connected with Whiskey Thief because that is what they're using for the tours and tastings. So instead of some guy had 3 kids, 3 triplets, so the name really never made sense. I think Walter hit on it before. They never say, even our guys that we buy grain from or buy equipment from always call us by the wrong name. Most of the deliveries come in for 3 brothers. So it's kind of like, if you're selling this stuff, at least get the name right. And I think Whiskey Thief will also help with that too. And it makes us easier to find because, you know, how Google and their hits do, and the search engine, and having the right name kind of helps out. And there's already another distillery, it's 3 brothers out there in North Carolina, I think. So it's one of those things. The name change just kind of made sense, and I think it'd be better for us in the long run. It's not an easy road. There's always going to be, it's always going to take a while. If you go to the traditional route, going through school, chemical engineer, and that takes time. It's not easy. It's hard work. If you go my route, it's still hard work and a lot of hours put into it, and then also looking for a lucky break. So there's not an easy way to do it. It's just being at the right place, right time, or putting your time and then hoping to get an interview at the right place. Don't be afraid to work those long hours and be really. Don't be afraid to reach out to people and talk to people because that's what's going to help you out and make those connections.